Let's start our second part. In it, we will see TypeScript in detail, and we will first set the environment for our TypeScript compiler. Keep in mind, when we will install Angular, it will automatically install this TypeScript, but today we will not install the Angular, but Angular using Angular CLI, but we will install TypeScript independently. To install TypeScript independently, we need to install TypeScript in this way out. Let's start and do with it. Npm install TypeScript -g. So we have started to install TypeScript globally. It will install. After installation, the compiler which transpile our TS code into our JS code, uh, it will be installed globally into our system. Then we can use the command tsc to compile our TS file into JS file. We will use tsc space name of the TS file. It will run and will create the JS file in the same directory where TS was placed. So it actually transpiles only. It will not run directly into your console window. It will not run the file into your console window, but it will transpile it only. If you want that you want to transpile and run that file at a time, then you need a ts-node module. In first case, after transpiling tsc space the file name ts, then you can run this js file with the node space the name of the file. It will run and provide you the output. If you don't want to do this two steps, you can do it in one step. You need to install ts-node. When you will install ts-node, you can use the command to run the file with it. So ts-node will run directly ts file. Actually, on the back end, it will transpile into js file and run the js file. Actual process is the same, but in a single step. So it's up to you. You can use any of these mechanisms. So after the TypeScript is installed globally, we can use the tsc to compile any file which is of the type ts extension TypeScript to a JS file. To transpile tsc the file name. If we want to change the code and want to see the live changes to our JS file, we will write tsc space -w file name.ts. Now if we change anything after this, it will automatically update the content of your JS file. This is just like nodemon, which monitors your code changes and recompile things every time. So if we want to do in this way, we will use the flag of -w. It will continuously listening to this file. Let's do the hands-on. We will create a test.ts and we will write a console.log, a simple, and then we will transpile it into JS file. We will go to this folder. We will create a new file, hello.ts. We have created a TypeScript file, and after creating the TypeScript file, we can just do the console.log just to check console.log hello. So we want to see the transpiling process. So we will go to our this path, and what we will do, we will transpile tsc. We have named it hello.ts, and what it will do, it will transpile it to JS file. It has transpiled it into a JS file. If we open it, it also contains console.log, because this console.log is same in TS file and in JS file. Next, We have seen how the things have been transpiled into JS. If we want to run our JS code, what we will do, we will just write node hello dot JS. Now it prints the hello into our console. This is transpiling, and this is a way out with which we can transpile our TS file into a JS file. Next, what we need to do, we will need to start our tsconfig.js JSON. It is just like what we have studied in our node, that is package.json. In case of our TypeScript configuration, we need a tsconfig.json. To create a tsconfig.json, what we need to do, tsc dot dash dash initiate. So we will do tsc dash dash init. So it will create our config file. Instead opening independent file, let's start it with code, current directory with code. It will automatically display me the files. tsconfig. Now this is the tsconfig, which has many properties in it. A number of them have been skipped and a few have been active. It's up to you which you want to activate, which you want to just ignore it. The important one is this target module. I will explain it in our slides. If we see what we have target and module. Two important things. It is saying that this ES5 will be run with the common JS compiler JavaScript runner in our browser. So we are defining the module which will run our JS file. And the target, this is the language in which we want to transpile our TS code. If we write ES6, it will convert our code into ES6 code. Keep in mind, ES7, only few functions of ES7 JavaScript is basically um, fully implemented in all the browsers if we see ES6, number of browsers support ES6. ES5, every browser will support ES5. So it depends on the browser you are targeting. So it depends on your project need. You are willing to transpile into ES5 code or ES6 code. By default, it will convert into ES5 code because every browser supports ES5. There are some root directories, out directories. You can change .js where you want to convert your code, put your code. If you want to create a source map, you can create the source map. If you want to emit on error, if there is an error, do you want to emit it or not? So these are the all properties that you can set in your project. uh, Same, we can create a function just like function greet person name, return hello person name. So these are all different options that can be used. Now we have seen our basically transpiling option, the configuration file which actually transpile TS file into a JS file. These are the options which I have explained to you. These are the same options. Target the version ECMA script version which you want to be transpiled. Let's start with the TS variables. As it is a strictly typed language, so it has types. You can define the types. In pure JavaScript, what we do, we can declare a variable. We can provide any variable value to that variable, like x. We are defining x and we are assigning it 40. Then we are assigning it a string. So it will convert its type from 40 number to a string type. So it is very easy. It is loosely typed language, so it changes the type at runtime, and due to this nature there can be an error at runtime. Like in case of TypeScript, we cannot let it go. We have to define the type. The way out with which we can define the type is let space the variable name colon the type of the variable and the value of the variable. Now we are defining a will be a string with this initial value. If we will assign a is equal to 40, it will give us an error because it is a string. You cannot assign a number to a string, or if this will be a number, we cannot assign it a string. So it is a strongly typed language. If you don't define the type, what will happen? If you don't define the type, it will infer the type on first assignment. Like if you assign var as store, now it has inferred its type as a string. So next time if you assign s is equal to 10, it will provide you an error. It will returns you an error because it has given the type string. Same and vice versa. If we assign a number first and then we will assign a string, so it will provide you an error. Let a hello, it is string. Let b 2.1, it's a number. Let c 1 2 3, it is an array of number. And same, this is, what is this? 1 2 3, it is an error because array can contain only one type. Either it will be of string type or it will be of number type. So you cannot have two types of variables in one array. This is the declaration mechanism. Let variable name colon type equal to initial value, whatever you want to give. Let name string Rashid. Let result number 1. So we are assigning a number of a string to a variable. Then in case of a function, we have to assign the type, the input type and the output type. Here if we see factorial, it is a function. We are inputting it a number and colon number, so it will take a number input, and what it will return, it will return a number also. So if n is less than 0, throw new error, and result n is equal to 1, and etc etc. It will perform its functionality. You have to define the types, and you have to define the type for the inputting incoming variable and the outgoing variable also. So we have to define the types. If we don't define the type, it will infer it from the first variable which it will get. Other data types which are available, there are some primitive types just like string, number, boolean, which you know very well. Same array types just like array. Either you can use the braces, or you can use the word array. Both are okay. And then the enumeration types, that is 1 2 3, you know very well this enumeration type of array. Then the function types, you can define the function, you can define the objects. Object is also a type. Object type, string, number, boolean, anything can be an object type. And there are two more data types which I intentionally left here. One is a void and one is any. We will see how it works. This is a string. It is very easy you to understand. Name of the variable, string, and the value, or you can directly assign a new value. Same for the number, you can assign the value, or for the boolean you can assign the true false value. Array, you can declare in this way out array of string, or you directly provides the value, and or you can write in this way out array string and provides the value. These are all acceptable way out to define the array. In this case, we have an array and we declared it as an enumeration, so it will convert the index into value. So 1 2 3, Angular means 1, React means 2, Ember means 3. So we can just use it as a sorry, it starts from the 0. So 0 1 2. So it just starts works as a indexes. Like we can use Angular instead of 0, and same 1 for React and 2 for Ember. Then we have some special types. Just like there are few special types: any, null, undefined, and void. Any, let's start from we can create a variable with a dynamic type if we specify its type to be any. Any means any type. It literally means any type. You can put number into it, you can put string into it, you can put array into it, you can put objects into it, you can put functions into it. Any is a type. You cannot say that in any we are using strings. We are using actually characters which are of type any. So any can be a type. We define this type as any. This means that anything can be assigned to it, and it can be assigned to anything. That's any. Like event id any 7890. Now event id we can assign it a string also, because it is of type any. So it can contain anything, literally anything. So there is no issue in it. Will not report any error because it's because of any keyword. Void, we are using it quite from long time. Void means nothing. The void keyword represents not having any data type. Function without return keyword do not return any value. Like if we say void, it means nothing, and we use void to represent it. Null and undefined are only values acceptable. The values that a void can have a null or undefined. So undefined means a variable which is not defined as yet, and undefined means it's more clearly we can say that we have not assigned any value to that variable as yet. Void means it has no value, and null is actually the variable contains a value of null. So next, let's see hands-on example. Some do it at your laptop. If we put this code into a file, and we will see how it returns. Let variable we have written this code into our hello.ts. Now we will transpile this code into JS code hello.ts. It will transpile it into JS code, and then we will run our JS code. So for the first, what it provides, if we see the code, variable 1 40, it is a number, it has printed out 40. For the second, it is a string, it has printed out string. The third is a boolean with the value false, so it has printed false. The fourth one is basically an array of string with two variables. We have just printed out v4, and it printed out all the full array. And in the variable 5, what we have done, we have assigned a function to this variable that returns, this is an arrow function that returns function type example, a string. It is returning a string. So what will be the output? Function type string. The output is that string, not this variable value. It is actually, this variable has been converted into an arrow function. So with this you can see so with the same way out, you can define an object. You can define an array and you can use a loop to print out that array. You can use v8 as an any, and you can assign any value. You can assign the boolean value to this any, you can assign the test value to any, you can assign a function to this any type. So you can assign anything to this method. So you can use this code. This is an array code where we are using arrays and we are accessing those array elements. You can put this code into a file and transpile it and run it, and you will see that it is not so difficult as compared to your normal JavaScript. It is just like a JavaScript with the types. Functions have the parameters have type, and there are defined parameters. So you cannot use unlimited parameters, just like in JS, where we can send 10 parameters without declaring it. Here we have to define and declare that these variables will become, and these will be of type number, and what we will output a number. So that is strictly type functions. What else we have? We have classes with it. All the object oriented concepts which we have, just like constructors or public, private and protector modifiers and etc. By default everything will be public. Default, if we don't define, it will be a public, and we have to define private and protected for to keep it protected and private. Just like this, it is a class. We are defining a class. We have a public variable, we have a private variable. If we don't write it a public, it will automatically a public variable. We are declaring a constructor with the two initial values. We are setting these values, and we have class constructor with these access modifiers. So you can define classes as you have worked in Java or in shape of C or C++, whatever you have studied. This is a class person, name string, constructor. We are constructing using the name, and then say hello. There is a method with which in which we are using this name, and we create a person class object, and we are passing a name to it. So the constructor will create the name. Now if we call person.name and the person.say hello, so it will output our hello, this the name of the person. So this is basic if sorry, this is basically how the classes work. We can define an optional parameter in it by question mark b question mark colon number. Now b is not an optional parameter. Strict null check will be applied on A but not on the B, because B can be undefined but not null. We cannot pass a null value to it, but we can pass, because it is of type number, so we cannot pass null. So we can pass any information that will be of type number. Undefined means it is possible that the user has not passed the variable value for B. So in that case it will be an undefined variable. There is inheritance. For the inheritance, same super mechanism, super props super will be used as extends, implements and super. The same concepts of your Java will be used. Using inheritance, we can extend an existing class or an interface to create a new one by using a keyword of extends. In TypeScript, we can have classes implementing interfaces by using a keyword implements. Super, this allows us to refer parents class members from the child class. If you have a constructor in your class, then you must call the parent constructor from your constructor. Parent, we will see this is animal class which have a method move, and it is working on, and we have a child class dog which extends the animal, and it has one method. So if we create a dog class, then we can call the move method of its parent class. So this is the way out with which inheritance works. So these are few examples. I'm leaving it for you. Just do it on your laptop, and share the output with me, so that I can know, I can understand that you have fully understood this TypeScript language. This abstract class, I have explained it. You can use it. Abstract class, abstract method, you can use both. You have interfaces in it, same as in Java. So the same concept is there. You can use interfaces to implement the implement. So I have given few examples also, how we can extend interfaces. This is a hands-on practice for you. I have left it intentionally. Just create this. You have to define an interface, iPlayer, define a method, getTotalPlayers returns a number, define a class MyCricket Team, inherit interface to the above defined class, define another class, and access and see how this interface and class works. So this is for you to work on. This is not assignment, it is just a task. So in today's lecture, what we have done, we have seen the few concepts which are new in ES5, ES6 and ES7. Then we have seen TypeScript, how to write a code in TypeScript, how to transpile it into a JS file, and how to execute that code to see the output. So in our next lecture, we will install sample app of our Angular, and we will see the structure of that application. After that, we will study the concept of Angular. Thank you very much.